there, this is Patricia from patriciafenty.com, and today I have a tutorial on how to use fine wire and beads to crochet this really pretty bracelet. And you can use any size beads that you like. I'm just using kind of smaller beads. There's a total of 3 strands here, and I used 3 different color wires. I used silver, copper, and gold tone, but you can do anything that you like, and I'm using these magnet clasps. That's what I ended up liking to use. Let's get started. For supplies, you're going to need a fine gauge wire. So this is a 24 gauge wire. You can do a 26 or 28 if you like. The higher the number, the finer it is. And you can use, this is a silver tone, brass tone, or gold tone, or copper. I'm going to actually use all 3 of these. Then you're going to need some beads, and you can use a whole assortment of beads. I'm just using, these here are basically the number 6 beads. So I have a whole bunch of those. This is a bigger sort of feature bead, as is, whoopsie, lost that one, as is this one here. So I'm using an assortment of green tones, and then I just have some neutral tones, some white, gold, and brown number 6 beads. So, you know, any kind of, you can just get these at the dollar store. And you basically use 4 beads per inch crocheted, and also basically 4 inches of wire per inch crocheted. So for say an 8-inch band, then each band would use about 32 beads, thereabouts. You'll need a clasp of some sort. I do have a tutorial on how to make your own clasp if you like, and I'll link that in the description box below in the written tutorial. You can use anything you like. This is a little magnetic clasp, little loop and toggle clasp, and whatever you choose, you're going to want a couple of jump rings to attach it to the bracelet, and matching the color, whatever color you want. You'll need a crochet hook. I'm using a 3.5mm crochet hook for this size wire and this size beads. The larger you go with the beads, the larger hook you'll need, because you'll need to drop a bigger hole or bigger loop to get the bead to fit in. You'll need some wire cutters, some needle nose pliers, and then you can use some round nose pliers or a baling plier if you like, and that'll be to make the loop at the end to put the toggles on. And that's it. Now what we're going to do is we're going to crochet a few bands of beads, and I'm going to do three bands altogether. You can do as many as you like. I would recommend at least 3. And so what you want to do is you want to plan for the band to fit kind of loosely around your wrist, and leaving about 1 inch or 1.5 inches, because we're going to be squishing this kind of together as we wrap them together. And you want to allow enough room for your clasp so that it's not too big. So if you did this one here, you'd need to allow about 3 inches for the clasp, whereas this one, once it's together, is only about 3/4 inch, and that's the one that I'm using. So basically measure around your wrist comfortably, add 1 inch, and then allow for your clasp. So you're going to start just threading beads right onto your wire, and just right onto the spool is fine. And start with the smaller beads first, and of course you can use any kind of beads you want. You can use big chunky beads if you want. I'm just using smaller ones because I have a small wrist, a fine wrist. And so you can start threading them on. So as I say, you need about 4 beads per inch. So I'm going to do 32 beads for an 8-inch finished crocheted band here, but I'm also planning these feature beads, and I've done 2 already. And when I lay them out, I have a feature bead here, which is the middle of one band, and a feature bead here, which is slightly to one side of that band. of the center one. So I'm going to plan to have one about here. And so what you can do is you can string your beads on and even have a couple of extra beads, and this will be the beginning, and you count back however many beads there are here, and that will be at the end. So what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 12 beads from the end. I'll put this one on and then do 11, 10, 9, 8. And that way you can sort of figure out where your beads are, so you don't get like, you know, this kind of thing happening. So you can plan it a little bit like that. So yeah, so go ahead and string your beads on and then we'll start crocheting. All right, so once you have your beads threaded on, you're going to leave yourself, I don't know, about an 8-inch piece of wire here, and you're just simply going to do a little loop like that. And you want to leave about, you know, 5 or 6 inches at the end. And you're going to pull that up to about that size, and then you're going to do a twist counterclockwise like that, and then that just creates a little beginning loop. And then you put your crochet hook inside that loop, and we're going to start by doing a chain. And if you're new to crochet, I do have my beginner crochet series that shows you how to do all the basics, but doing a chain stitch is very easy to do. You're going to bring the wire around behind the shank of the hook, bring it over, and then using the hook, you're going to pull that through the loop. Now it is a little bit awkward working with wire, and it does go a little bit twisted and gimpy, but that's okay. And just sort of pull it down like that. And you want to leave a loop on the hook that's quite big. So I'm just going to pull this. We want this wire over that way. So we're going to do that again. So this is called the yarn over. So you're bringing the wire behind the hook over to the front, and then holding the wire here, you're going to just pull that through that loop, and that's a chain 2. So now we're going to start by putting some beads on. So all you do is you pull a bead up and you have your loop on your hook, and same thing, you're just going to bring the wire in behind, have it, and then bring it in the front under that hook, and then pull that through the loop just like that. And then you're going to pull that wire up on your hook a little bit, and then again bring a bead down, bring the wire behind, get it up under that hook, and pull it through the loop just like that. And then again you pull the wire up a bit so you've got lots of room on the hook to pull that through. Bring another bead up. Now this bead's a little bit bigger, so I'm going to just pull that wire a little bit more so I've got lots of room. Again, bring the wire behind, hook it onto the hook in the front, and pull it through. And that's all you do. You just keep bringing up one bead, whoops, keep it in behind, yarn over, and pull that through the loop. Pull the wire up like that, bring up another bead, yarn over, and pull it through. And that's it. So you're just going to do that chain stitch, pulling a wire up on for each bead. And here I have a slightly bigger bead, so I know I'm going to want to pull that up a bit more. Yarn over, and pull that through. And there you go. So carry on until you get your length of wire to the length that you want, and then I'll see you at the end. All right, so I have this as long as I want compared to these 2 bracelets. If by chance you get to the end and you haven't put enough beads on, maybe you've crocheted quite tight, all you need to do is allow for, say, another 4 inches of wire, and then another 6 inches to leave at the end, and cut your wire, and then you can just put on a few more beads to get you to the end, so no worries. So I'm as far along as I want. I've got a couple of beads left, and I'm just going to do I'm going to snug this up, and I'm going to do a couple of chains just without any beads like I began with. And I'm going to make these kind of snug because I went a little bit too far. And so just 2 chains. And then once you have it to the length that you want, you're going to take your wire cutters, and as I say, leave about, 4, 5, 6 inches and cut a little piece, cut it off like that. And this loop is going to be pulled through. So I just pulled that loop through, and that makes a bit of a knot like that. So then you want to make however many strands that you want, and we could see here just kind of roughly. I have those beads offset like that. This one, and that one. So that worked out pretty good. So once you have them all ready to go, I'll show you how we're going to wind them together. So you want to line your strands up, and they won't be exactly perfectly the exact same length, but sort of line them up as best as you can. And then just take the one end and take your 3 wires and simply twist them. I guess that's clockwise. Twist them away from you. And just make a nice little twisted end here. And we're going to make this, probably about 2 inches long or so, because that's what we're going to put our jump ring onto. So you can just wind that like that. And then I'm going to turn it around and do the same thing. So essentially this twist will be going in the opposite direction. I think that's how I've got it figured out. And I'm actually twisting in some of the chains there because they're a little bit longer. And so just twisting the end and creating a length of these strands all twisted together. Just like that. And then you have your centerpiece. By the way, you can make a necklace out of this as well. And so now what we're going to do is just starting in the middle, we're simply going to twist and twist the bracelet going again, in that clockwise direction like that. And you can kind of squish and push the beads and the wire together and just twist until you get to that side. And then turn it around and continue. So you're essentially twisting in the same direction all the way. And as you twist, you just sort of push and squish the wires together and make it nice and snug. And this is the magic of this project, because it's kind of a surprise how it turns out. And there we go. Now you've got it all sort of twisted and joined together. Now this has brought the entire bracelet down to about 5.5 inches. And the nice thing is that you can actually pull it out and make it a little bit longer. So if you're making this for someone else, you can stretch that out. And I've got it now to just over 6 inches. So there's some room in there, and you can even pull it out a little bit more, room to make it a little bit longer, and that's like 6.25. And then again, you can just squish it up tighter to make it a smaller bracelet. So that's the nice thing about this. It has some flexibility in it. And then that's gone down to like 5.25 inches. So it's really cool that you can work with it that way. So next we're going to put the jump rings and the clasp on. Now I'm a little rusty with my wire work, so be patient with me. So here it's a little bit lumpy. I'm just going to use my needle nose pliers here to just flatten that out and make that nice and flat. And here comes a helicopter from the Air Force Base. Oh dear, that's loud. Oh well. All right, so we're going to take one end and put your round nose pliers on there about halfway up the shank, or if you're using the baling one, you could maybe use this one here. I hope that one there. And what you want to do is bend the wire just like that. And then you're going to take that out, put it in this way, and you're going to wrap your wire around the pliers like that, bring it around, and you kind of have to sort of sneak this around like this. I hope I'm showing this right. Bring this up. There you go. So you've got the wire wrapped around the round nose pliers, and you have a little bit of room down here. And you have your loop nice and shaped around there. So then you can take this out. So you have that nice little loop there. And then what I like to do is I just hold that in between my pliers, and you're going to then wrap the 3 strands of wire behind, and you're going to do 1 wrap and 2 wraps and say 3 wraps like that. There you go. And this is what I wasn't sure how we would do this. You can either weave the wires down into here if you like and then cut them off, or you can just trim them right here and pinch them down. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to just trim all 3 off. So turn it over here. I'm going to cut that nice and close, do a nice little flush cut there. And then you're just going to pinch those down nicely so that they don't snag at all. And yeah, that's nice. And then you're going to do that on the other side as well. So just sort of pinch and tuck those in. There we go. And so then you'll do the same thing on the other side, and then all you do is you take, I should have had another set of pliers here, but I think this will work. So you just open up your jump ring like that, and you put your toggle on or whatever it is, put that inside your loop there. Oh, come on. It's a little bit awkward. And then close up your jump ring. And I didn't do a very good job closing that up. There we go. I usually use 2 needle nose pliers for this. And I'm also not feeling very well. I'm just getting over COVID, so I noticed that my hands are shaking in that because I'm still actually quite sick. There we go. Close that up nice. There we go. And so that one is attached, and so you can do that on this side with this, and I'll see you when that's all done. Okay, so here we go. So I've got both the ends on, and I ended up taking these ones off because they were too hard to put on by myself, like to put on here. This would be great for a necklace where you have 2 hands. So I put the magnet clasps on, and that's much easier. So I can put the bracelet on myself. So once you have the clasps on, then you want to fuss with the bracelet and sort of find the good side. And for me, that was this side here. You might have a few beads that kind of stick out a bit, and you can just sort of squish them in and, push and pull with the wire and kind of fuss with it and get it looking nice. And then trying it on here, get the clasp on, there we go. And for me, that's pretty good. It's maybe a little bit big, so in that case, I would just push them together a little bit more, or if it was too tight, I could stretch it out. Another thing I forgot to mention is that if you're using big chunky beads, then you may want to do a big bead and then chain 1 or 2 of just wire in between the big beads, because otherwise it might be too bulky, and then you could do 2 or 3 strands of the big beads and kind of offset them and twist it together like that. So anyways, I think this is a super fun project, really easy to make. This would be great to give as gifts or to make for craft fairs. You always have my permission to use any of my projects for craft fairs. I just ask that you don't, sell my patterns. But yeah, you can use this to make, to sell, to give away, whatever you like. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I'll see you next time.